really special day because we are at SSS Motorsports. This is one of the coolest places in Edmonton, and I would argue probably in all of Alberta. It's a tuning shop that is specific to JDM cars, and they absolutely dial every single project in that they do. And who better to introduce us today than the shop manager, Marco Tassoni.
How's it going, guys?
So he pretty much runs this place inside and out. He takes the calls, he plans your builds, he walks you through absolutely everything in the entire process. And not only that, he also is a drifter. So he has his own drift car, and that's what these guys are really, really good for.
That's why we're here.
Yeah, so he's going to be taking us on a shop tour. We're going to be going through the inside, some builds that they have, some of the cool features that they offer that a lot of places don't. So yeah, without further ado, let's get inside. Yeah, you guys specialize mostly in these brands right here, but you guys dial in every single Nissan and Datsun that you can think of.
Yeah, I mean, this is our bread and butter. Subaru, Nissan, Toyota are kind of the main ones. You know, we'll dabble in the Mitsubishis, Hondas of the world, a little bit of domestic, but we prefer to stick to the JDMs. But yeah, we do everything from engine building, custom fabrication, wiring, dyno tuning, maintenance, restoration, rust repair, body work. We have a full paint booth. So yeah, it's a one-stop shop. We're probably one of the most unique shops in Western Canada for what we do, to the scale of what we do, what we do it at for the JDM stuff. Yeah. So yeah, there's not really many shops out there doing what we do. Yeah. So going right in, this is the waiting room here. From the outside, the shop kind of looks like a little bit of a hole in the wall, but it's actually a nice unit, quite a bit of space. Just the front office area, parts sales, waiting room. Eric here has been helping out running parts and service. So this is the main room, and then coming into the shop, we're always busy. There's always this many cars in here at least. Sometimes at the end of the night when we bring cars in overnight, this shop's packed from end to end with JDM cars.
So what do we got here, Marco?
So this here is just a Mark III Supra. We didn't build this one. This was actually built by the customer. It's kind of an old school build, you know, old Gretty turbo, some older technology, but still really cool. Unique in its own way for sure. You'll see this car at some of the local car shows. Moving right along, we've got Nissan R32 GTR. We've done pretty much everything on this car except for the wrap. The color is obviously a wrap done by, I believe, Knops Wraps. But this car has got a fully forged RB26, upgraded with a Spectrum Motorsports single turbo kit. That's a BorgWarner EFR 8374 turbo. This car will make probably somewhere around 700 horsepower on E85. But yeah, Spectrum Motorsports Solutions, they're a great turbo manufacturer here in Canada. They're out in BC. Yeah, Chris from Spectrum does an amazing job. He actually also makes his own turbos. This is not one of them, but a great option for guys that want to buy local. This car's also got a pretty insane fuel system. We've got a surge tank set up, so there's one lift pump in the fuel tank that lifts fuel into the surge tank, and then there's two other fuel pumps in the surge tank that feed the engine, so that we make sure we always have a constant supply of fuel, no starvation, and yeah, just have a lot of fuel for a turbo and a car that's going to make a lot of power on race gas. Moving right along, we got a 240Z. This unfortunate car had an engine failure. Cylinder number 6 dropped a valve and did some pretty horrid damage. So this is not going to be a rebuild. It's most likely going to be an engine replacement or engine swap. It's a pretty nice car. Interior is in really nice shape. Seems to be pretty well rust free.
This channel knows how much we love Datsun, so whenever I come here, it's like being a kid in a candy store. I just don't have any cash to buy the candy. But it's when it comes to Datsuns, these guys, and we'll get into that one in a little bit. We're going to do a full video on that car because that is an absolutely insane build. But yeah, when it comes to Datsuns, anything you can think of, anything you want done, you can get done. And it doesn't just apply to Datsuns, of course. It applies to pretty much any car that comes through.
For sure, absolutely. Yeah, Datsuns are part of our bread and butter. We'll see a couple more, one or two more as we go along here. This is my drift car here, S13 with an SR20. This car's actually, unfortunately, lived the last year of its life as under my ownership. I'm moving on to a new chassis for next year. Going to be upgrading to an S14 with a 2JZ engine. But this car had a fully built SR20. Was right around 480 wheel horsepower that it made on E85, Audi R8 coil packs, Spectrum Motorsports turbo kit with the Spectrum Motorsports turbo, dual wastegate. Yeah, fully built. No expense spared on this one.
And you've won quite a few competitions, if you will, with this car, right? Like you've
done all right.
consistently...
Yeah, in amateur series, I won the amateur championship, and then when I moved into Pro-Am, I got 1 podium and 2 event wins over the few years that I've raced.
And speaking of that, if you guys are into drifting, as you probably are, because you're watching this video, be sure to give Marco a follow on Instagram. His Instagram is going to be right here, as well as all of SSS's information, Facebook page. That's all going to be in the description of this video. So please be sure to check these guys out.
Over here, you'll actually see a minor example of some of the domestic stuff that we do. Don't do a lot of it, but who doesn't love a Buick Grand National with a turbo? These things came from the factory with a turbo. I think this one's got some upgrades done to it. I'm not too familiar with these cars, so I can't tell you exactly what. But doing some work on this guy. He's doing a built transmission, and then just like some maintenance-y type stuff. S13 with an S14 kooky front end. Another really cool thing about this car, it's got an RB25 engine swap as well as R34 GTR seats. I don't know what those seats are going for right now, but they are ridiculously expensive.
They're a lot.
So, yeah. So when we touch those seats, we make sure to touch them very safely.
Moistly.
Moistly.
At a medium pace.
Another R32 GTR. This one's in for a complete engine rebuild. It's got the old-fashioned Lambo doors. Pretty interesting stuff. Yeah, as mentioned before, there's a fully functional paint booth over here. Justin, our body guy, has done a lot of really cool stuff with regards to bodywork. He's installed Liberty Works wide body kit. I'll send a picture to Alex if he wants to include a picture of that. That was a really cool car, R35 GTR. Did a Liberty Walk kit on that, air ride suspension, some pretty crazy wheels. He's also done RWB. If you're familiar with the RWB brand and the Porsches, we actually painted Mark Cito's RWB kit from the Driven Motor Show, and then Justin actually helped, or Nakai-san, I believe, with the install on the kit, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, sweet. Justin's got a lot of experience with that. You know, Rocket Bunny wide body kits, anything custom, metalworking, rust repair, we can definitely do that. Actually, an example of rust repair over here. Alex, do you recognize this chassis?
I believe this is a Lamborghini.
Yeah, this is a good old S30.
Yes, it is.
So, what is the fullest extent that you can do to a car, to any customer's car?
Yeah, I think as far as rust repair goes, this would be the best example. Stripped right down to a body, stripped right down to bare metal, blasting the factory coating off of it, either via dustless blaster or dry ice blasting and sublime surfacing. Getting it right down to bare metal, fixing all the rust. Complete nut and bolt restoration is what it's called. You know, every nut and bolt is touched, zinc coated, replaced, whatever. And then, you know, as far as engine swapped, you know, we can do upgraded suspension. We can do pretty much anything. But yeah, Datsun Z. You guys will get a whole video on this. I'm not going to go into it too much, but basically full carbon fiber body, VQ37 swap, titanium everything, crazy wheels, Rocket Bunny wide body kit. This car is insane. This car will get a video on its own for sure. Just another great example of what we can do in the Datsun world, what we can do in the bodywork. A lot of really cool custom work on this car that we'll show you as well. But yeah, as I said, we do a little bit of Honda. This car, right now, there's no engine in it, but this car has a turbo engine. It's getting completely rebuilt and retuned. We're doing a bit of a bigger fuel system to hopefully push for about 350, 400 horsepower on a B18 Honda engine. Part of our bread and butter, RB, SR20, 2JZ. Those are kind of our main engines. This one here is a good example of a 2JZ. Right now it's kind of open because we're getting this ready to fire up, so the guys are syncing ignition timing and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's a 2JZ with a big Borg Warner turbo, ECU master ECU. Also has a big, huge 60 mil wastegate. You can see right there the sheer size of that bad boy. When that wastegate opens up, it's pretty intense. Yeah, the car you just heard fire up is a really interesting car. So that is a Nissan Atlas. It is a Japanese cab-over truck. So they're a right-hand drive JDM car, or truck, I should say. So basically, the engine is actually below the cab where the driver sits. This car's got a KA24 engine. It's turbocharged. Alex, you can go ahead in there and have a look. You'll see a Garrett turbo over on your right-hand side. Big boy in there. runs off of a Haltech Elite 750 ECU. We mounted it right here. Comes with a nice fuse and relay box as well. Haltech wideband controller. Just kind of trying to keep all the sensors and stuff all, the same brand. Haltech's good stuff. So because of the lack of obviously airflow at the front of the truck, instead of running a air-to-air intercooler for the turbo system, it actually runs a water-to-air charge cooler right here. So you can see just a little kind of water-to-air intercooler. Basically, it runs this water tank right here, along with a water pump, as well as a fan to essentially cool the water down and then effectively cool the air down. So it's a nice, efficient way of running a turbo without having to have an intercooler up front, because obviously that wasn't an option here. And then that's going to be triggered by the Haltech ECU. It's going to basically tell the fan to kick on at a certain air temperature. We also run a fuel surge tank for this car. So it's got same as the R32 GTR that we showed earlier. It's got a fuel surge tank. This one only has a single pump. That's all it needs. Another really cool thing is, because we are running the KA24 engine, we wanted to run the KA24 transmission. The KA20 transmission that came with this car was pretty small, so we had a fear of blowing it up. So we ran this transmission and had to basically completely customize the shifter linkage assembly. The KA20 transmission had a side shift lever and a completely different mechanism that could not be adapted to this transmission. So Lido and Austin and Corey basically had to completely customize this whole setup. You can see it over here. Basically, they came up with this design that adapts. This came off the KA transmission, but everything else is custom here. So we did this bracket up top, this stabilizer bracket here, and basically this allows us to now effectively shift gears the same way that the KA20 transmission did, but it's just been completely re-engineered in a way that would work with this transmission. So this is kind of my favorite part of the shop, obviously the most exciting part of the shop. Nothing better than building a car and seeing it all come to fruition, hearing it on the dyno, working in the office and hearing a car on the dyno all day.
And making new friends with your neighbors.
Yes, and we've had a couple of run-ins with the neighbors for sure. Here's a Dynacom 15,000 FX all-wheel drive roller dyno. Nice thing about this dyno is it has a really cool, sophisticated system that allows us to estimate quarter-mile times, speed calculations. We can do steady state tuning. There's apparently a virtual reality application on it. We haven't really used it yet, but apparently you can display like virtual reality stuff on the TV while operating the dyno, which I thought was pretty cool. But yeah, this is probably my favorite part of the process. The cars that run E85, of course, we keep a jerry can of Fuse E85R handy. This is the good stuff. E85 is my favorite fuel. Smells delicious as well.
Some people call it sex juice.
Yes, or corn juice. Yeah, really
that's cool. And yeah, they've had some really cool cars on this dyno. In fact, if you haven't already, I'll put the link to the video here, but the 280Z RB25 that I filmed a couple days ago was on this dyno, and you guys tuned that car, didn't you?
Ali tuned it. Ali is our tuner. He goes by the King Tuner. You can find him at kingtuner.com. He is a tuner that does guys all over the world. He's a remote tuner is what it's called. So he can he can tune a car in his bed if he wanted to. Basically just remotes into guys over in Europe. He's actually tuned quite a few cars on the Nürburgring.
Oh wow.
He's had some customers that'll literally drive on the Nürburgring and he's on his computer just tuning away. So really cool. He's our guy here. He comes in and does cars on the dyno here, but he also does guys overseas and stuff like that as well.
Nice. So that's cool. That's a cool asset to have, and that's another reason why I like taking my cars here, and lots of people take their cars here, is because if you want quality, you would come here. If you want the car to be dialed in, and if you want the job to be done by enthusiasts, and trust me, enthusiasts are the ones to go with because they have a passion for what you share as well. It's not just a matter of, okay, this is my job, I'm going to just put this together and build it for you. There's a lot of passion that goes into it, and you can tell just from the work that these guys do. It's it definitely shows on all their builds.
So another thing we like to do around here is a little bit of product development and manufacturing. This is an example here of our RB oil block adapter. We obviously don't make these in-house. We developed and designed them. We get them made by machinists. Basically, this was designed to allow RB guys to run a aftermarket oil cooler and oil filter relocation kit. It gives you a -10 AN in, -10 AN out. as well as ports for the factory oil pressure and oil temperature sensors, so you can still run those. Eliminates the need for the very restrictive oil filter sandwich plate adapters that are out there, and allows you to run these. You guys may have actually already seen these in some of Adam LZ's videos. We've sent quite a few of these units over to him. His new web store, Drift HQ, will also be having these in stock very soon. We're going to be sending an order out to them as well. But yeah, if you guys have any RBs, these are a must.
All right, so that's all for today, and I really hope you guys enjoyed it because I had a really good time. Every time I come here, I always just want to take a peek at what they're doing because the stuff that they do is really, really cool. Again, unfortunately, we didn't have all of the really coolest projects that you've seen or that I've seen before simply because they're in storage. But hopefully in the future, maybe we can do some more videos with SSS. But again, Instagram's right here, Facebook, their website, everything is going to be found in the description. Please go and follow them and go and check them out because they definitely deserve it. And big thanks to Marco for letting me come over and have some fun with them today. So anything you want to add before we take off?
Just want to say thank you guys for coming along. Again, yeah, if you want to reach out to us, if you're in even Western Canada, we deal with a lot of guys in Western Canada, give us a call. We'll be happy to help.
Awesome. You heard him. All right, guys, we'll catch you in the next video. Don't forget to leave a like and let us know what your thoughts are on SSS. Thanks. We'll see you in the next one.